Hello, and welcome. Today we're gonna try to diagnose my Honda S2000, 2003 Honda S2000. It's making a weird noise. I think it is the tensioner pulley. So we're gonna start it up. This is a cold start, and then yeah, I'll let you guys hear it. So this is a cold start, makes this weird noise. So maybe you guys can hear it already. Initial suspicion was that, and I don't know how well you can hear me, I'm gonna put my AirPods in for now. Alright, I'm not sure how much worse or better this is as far as audio. I put in my headphones, hoping it's better. Well, we have two issues. One of them is that the spinning noise. I really don't know how to describe it. I believe it's coming from the tensioner pulley. I'm going to remove the serpentine belt to inspect it closer. And I noticed that we have a massive gas leak down here. You can kind of see I'm not sure if that's due to an injector, or if that is the manifold itself. So I'm going to have to remove the cover. And yeah, so I'm going to tackle the serpentine belt first. Alright fam, so it is the pulley. I just confirmed. I took the serpentine belt off. This is the tensioner pulley. So the way you can tell it's the pulley, it's by taking the serpentine belt off and spinning it. So I'm gonna spin it, and you see how it's freely spinning with little to no friction. That is because the bearing is shot. The bearing has failed. It's no longer good. I'll explain maybe later the technicality of why and how bearings fail. But an example of what a good pulley looks like, it's this pulley right here. If you spin it, I'm going to try to focus on it. If you spin it, although it's having some contact with the serpentine belt right here, it's not really causing too much friction on the pulley enough to slow it down. So again, we spin this pulley, it stops relatively quick, and so that's how we know that the bearing on this tensioner pulley has failed. And luckily for me, I can just purchase the bearing and press it back in and save myself $50 to $60. So I'm gonna throw the serpentine belt back on there, see if I can purchase a bearing somewhere locally. Otherwise, I'm just going to order one and continue to drive the car like this until it arrives. So that's one issue out of the way, and now I'm gonna tackle this massive fuel leak. Okay, I rerouted the serpentine belt back on there. I'm just making sure now that everything's routed properly. I'm pretty confident that I did it correctly. The easiest way I found it to do it was to slide the serpentine belt over this pulley right here. Because of this filleted edge right here. I don't know, you can kind of tell how it's curvy. It's called a fillet. It's easier to slide it over because that pulley rests on this smooth surface. So I'm gonna just turn the car on and make sure that it's not gonna blow up or anything. It should be fine, but I'm gonna turn the car on, make sure everything runs fine. And again, that is our sign. So now I'm gonna move on and try to see what this fuel leak is all about. Symptoms: heavy gasoline smell, as well as this leak marks right here. That smell seems pretty high. I'm gonna remove all of this and clean all of this up for future reference. So I'm gonna start removing some of these parts and then I'll update y'all on as I go. Okay, so I took off the little plastic cover that goes over the injector manifold, which is this piece right here. And it seems to be that this injector is wet. I just had the car running, so my presumption is that this is our culprit. I'm not really sure where the rest of this came from, this gunk. It smells like oil. That might just be from me doing a poor job pouring in my oil when I do my scheduled maintenance. But I'm gonna fire up the engine and see where we have our problem. Okay, car running, and I can tell that it's wet. Which means it is leaking gasoline. I think the best view, you can't really see where it's leaking from exactly. So Alright guys, so I found a leak. It's definitely I don't know, I guess injector number 2, I'm gonna call it for now. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 4, 3, 2. That's not it. It's this one right here. Well, this is the connector that goes to the injector. But I'm gonna show you guys on injector number 1. So if this was the second injector, which is the one that's leaking, we have a leak from this tiny hole right here. There's a hole right there. Right here. And there's gasoline coming out of this hole on injector number 2. And I presume that is because the injector is clogged, and therefore the gasoline is coming out of the next path of least resistance. So now I'm gonna see whether I can get these injectors cleaned somewhere, or if I should just purchase a new one. And then maybe I'll do a video on how injectors work and what their whole purpose is. So let me do some research and then see if I should proceed to take out this injector or if I'll just leave it. I'm obviously not gonna take out just one injector, or I'm not just gonna clean the one. If I do get these cleaned up, I'm gonna take all 4 of them out, which only makes sense since I do have to remove the entire manifold. So I'm gonna do some research right now and see what my best route is. But found that leak. All right, I removed the injector manifold. I'm probably gonna have to remove, or at least move this hose out of the way. I tried to remove as little things possible to do less work, I guess. But I still had to fidget with it a bit. So yeah, here's the manifold. I think I read up on the forums that it could just be an O-ring, so I'm gonna try that first. And if that doesn't work, then I'll just try to get them clean, and if that still doesn't work, then I'll probably end up going with a new injector. It's this injector, I believe. So let me see how this goes. The orientation of this thing, yes. So seems like this injector is the one that's leaking. I believe that's the O-ring that goes upstream into the manifold. So I'm gonna try to go to Home Depot and get those, and then I'll clean this up too for future reference to make sure that I don't have any leaks or anything. There is quite a bit of carbon buildup though on the injection ports, as you can see there. Okay, so I pulled the injector. I'm thinking that this O-ring right here at the top, that's the one that interfaces with the manifold. I'm thinking that it is shot. And this yellowing right here, I think that's just gasoline. So the rest of them, if you look closely, they don't have any of that yellow residue. They have carbon buildup, which is normal for these sort of engines. So what I'm gonna try to do is swap this O-ring. You can tell that the rubber on there is a bit worn out. And I'll probably, if I'm being honest, I'll probably buy new O-rings for all of them, lubricate them, and throw these injectors back on there. I'll probably try to wipe them down a bit, get some of that carbon buildup out, and yeah, throw this back on there. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier, but this little orifice right here, this hole is where the fuel seemed to be leaking out of initially, but upon closer inspection, I believe that this O-ring is the culprit. Yeah. Alright, I went ahead and cleaned the intake. Not necessary, but I mainly did it for future maintenance to make sure if there's like any marks or oil stains or any stains whatsoever, I can differentiate whether they're new or if they were there already. Try to do my best. It was very hard. Also went ahead and cleaned the injectors. As you can see, they're pretty much carbon deposit free. I cleaned the fuel rail a little bit, and I'm gonna head over to Home Depot or Lowe's and try to get one of these O-rings, see if that fixes the problem. And I think I'm going to take the idler pulley as well off, and I think they have a compatible one at Tractor Supply. If not, then I'll just overnight one from Amazon or literally anywhere else, and yep, keep y'all updated. But here's how the intake manifold looks. Pretty clean, I would say. Clean enough to where you can tell whether a new stain is developing or if anything is leaking.